It's very hard to ignore Africa because it's a large population, 1.2 billion people, projected to more than double to 2.5 billion by 2050. We have a very large young population, a growing middle class. 70% of the population is below the age of 30. And at the moment, 6 of the fastest growing economies in the world are in Africa.
For the digital space to actually scale up to the next level, Africa the African continent and the leaders in Africa, and if you look at the different countries. So we like to say, like for our business, for example, we're in 10 markets, but each of those 10 markets that we are in, we have to deal with different regulatory framework. We have to deal with different currencies. We have to deal with different ways of looking at tax. We have to deal with different ways of just generally doing business, right? And even if all of the African markets do not necessarily come together or work out in the end, that all of the 55 become one block, at least different blocks in each of these areas, west, east, south, would really help in easing how business is done, and allow the actually businesses such as Cellulant to be able to not only provide services to the people in Africa, but also the fact that there are lots of global businesses that are wanting and needing to come into Africa, but are finding it very difficult to actually be able to invest and to get their money out of Africa. So I think just allowing not only the regulatory framework, but also working on the ability for people to come in and invest who are not African-based, I would say, or African-started, right? And then also allowing them to actually be able to take out their money once the consumer has actually spent on them. That is, I think, going to be very critical.
So the next billion users is based on the premise that at the moment there are about 7 billion people on the planet and only about 3 billion are connected. Now, the next billion people coming online will be largely from emerging markets, like African markets. And so this is a huge opportunity. And what's unique as well is that the needs and preferences of these users are going to be slightly different from users in other parts of the world. And so there's a huge opportunity to innovate for the region. There's a huge opportunity to develop solutions that are more localized. There's a growing consumer base ready to actually take advantage of and consume these products. And with the increased innovation that we're seeing on the continent, I look forward to just hearing more global successes coming out of Africa. We're starting to see signs of this, and it'll be great to have African startups being acquired or getting really significant investments. It'll be great to just hear a lot more of global success stories coming out of Africa.
For us, is to see the African Continental Free Trade Agreement take off and be implemented properly, working with, again, as I mentioned, the large multinationals, influencers in the public sector, and other entrepreneurs as well, in terms of helping each other, sharing information, sharing data, and making better decisions, as I mentioned, because you're seeing that these startups and these entrepreneurs that are coming up are involved in a lot of hiring of creating jobs and things like that. So for us in the next 6 to 12 months is to work with the public sector in understanding the kind of policies that can help shift the momentum from where we are in Africa to where we should be in the next 12 months, the next 3 to 5 years is what we're looking for.